In the meantime, I think that people are interested in kind of how this writing came about for you, and I was just wondering if maybe we could have maybe 2 volunteers first to look at this question. And I was wondering what it meant for you to, maybe from some of the new writers, about what it means to reflect on your life experiences in writing and share them with an audience like this. I was wondering if maybe 1 or 2 people could respond that way. Maybe we can have Garvin and then potentially Stefan.
I was very honored to participate when Jackie asked me to participate in the workshop. I haven't submitted as often as some of the other vendors here in the magazine. And so I was really excited to be able to, and especially because it was part of Homeless Action Week, and because Michael Christie was part of it, who I enjoyed his book so much. And it was just a really good opportunity. But when Michael had posed the question, what is home, and to ask us to expand upon that, I was really excited at that, because the downtown east side has truly become my home, as much as my childhood home is always going to be that part of my memory. The years that I've spent living in the downtown east side, in some of the SROs, in the shelters, has been some of the richest experiences in my life, and has, again, it brought me in contact with so many wonderful people, especially including the Megaphone, the people who are putting the magazine together. And it's given us the opportunity to really express those issues and those feelings and dreams inside of us in a venue that we would never have. So again, I'm so grateful for this opportunity to express to you and my friends my feelings of home, and I hope that it has some effect for all of you like it has for me.
Okay, hi. That was my first experience actually talking in public like this. So I was very interesting to find what it's about. So, but I did some writing before, but it was not speaking on the public like this. But it was such a good experience. I'm a bit shy because I'm actually French, so for me to be able to write in English was a little challenge for me, because I can speak maybe a bit good English, but I think I'm still have a French accent, so it's hard to leave that. But that was a good experience, and it's really good to practice my English. Hopefully I can do better next time. So thanks you all for coming here tonight. Thank you.
And of course, the writing that you've shared tonight has largely focused on the theme of home. That was what tonight was about. And I know that all of you now have stable places to call home. You have stable housing. But I was wondering if maybe 1 or 2 of you could briefly contrast what your life was like before you had a stable place to live, and what your life is like now, and what the key difference between that place and now looks like, just very briefly for maybe about a minute.
Ask the expert.
Okay, I came back from Nanaimo. I went there on a mission. I accomplished it, and I came back and I stayed at a shelter. And I was never comfortable with staying in the Balmoral or any of them, the ones you always hear about, hotels. And so I've been still in Megaphone about 6 months, and I'm walking past this building. And I always look through the door, and there's always that old guy sitting there. And it always looks like an interesting place, and it's a really picky place. You can't just get in there. And I'm thinking, but you know what, I'm going to give it a shot. And I walked in, and you know what, they filled up my form. And it was the Hallway House. I've been there for 2 years now. And And I didn't think the way I looked at the time, and they took me in, and knowing the clientele, they were very picky about the people that they have, and knowing that they cater to people that would be prey anywhere else. You know, they give people a home that you know, they'd have to cough up their check every month if they stayed anywhere else. They'd end up living in a doorway, you know, and the patience that they show for their tenants, you know, and they let them get away with murder, but they ain't that what mom does, you know. And I'm so blessed to have been there, and I've been there 2 years, and it's the longest I've ever stayed anywhere. And with the continental breakfast, and I forget what the question was. But I love where I'm at, and you know, just through the Megaphone, I've been able to find a home, and like I say, you know, I thought I'd never find a home, and I was on my own, and the idea of thinking about home was like, well, what are you kidding, you know? But I found it, and I found it in these four walls, and Jackie wants it.
Well, you, Chris, of course, and everybody here knows what it is to be housed vulnerably, right? You know what it is to be in a spot where you're not sure what's going to happen next with regard to home. But wondering if maybe either Peter or Hendrik or somebody who hasn't spoken yet could talk about what you wish more people knew about homelessness that they don't know already, and maybe what they could stand to learn from your experiences or others like this.
Well, I think right now I'm grateful to have a home because being outside for many years, out in the cold, the damp, and out of the wind is something that everybody should really have, because home it gives you something like a balance where your heart feels something, and you could help others through your experiences of being in the home, and to help others get out of the gutter or anywhere else that they may be. Even just to try would be something that would put an effect on somebody. Because I've been out in the cold, I've been out and sleeping under bridges, sleeping wherever I could, like in parks even, but I know what it's like to be out in the cold, I know what it's like to be, and it ain't a pretty picture, and you don't want to see too many people like that. So the best you can do is try to help somebody that is in need. Like every day I try to help somebody out there.
Yeah, you're so old, you can be in the oldies.
Thanks very much, Peter. Hendrik, is there anything that you wish that people knew about homelessness that they don't?
Yeah, a lot of people that have a home and neighbors and a stable life, they need to go on holidays all the time because it gets so boring, right? I studied ecology, which is the study of home. Oikos meaning home in Greek, right? And what I've learned is that ultimate strength depends on diversity and interactions with people. And in nature, of course, interactions with the soil, creatures, and all these strange things that people are maybe not aware of. So open up your eyes, citizens. Resilience. There are resilient people around that have lived through, gone through hell, often through no fault of their own. And I think you can learn a lot, okay? Like when I come from a fairly privileged background, I went to university and all that. I had my own company with employees, and all of a sudden I had lifted too much and I broke my back. So I was crawling around on the floor for a week before anybody noticed that I hadn't come to the dock. I barely managed to get my food and go to the washroom, have a shower and all that. Shower I don't think I did have. But anyways, I couldn't go down the hill because it just hurt too much, so I couldn't even get to my boat to get out of there. And I was living in the wilds of Canada. There was no road access. You could just get there by boat. I had to chop my own wood. When I first got there was no wood in the woodshed at all, and it was already August. So First winter was pretty hard, but you know, that taught me a lesson, right? But I think that's what you got to look at, you know, like not everybody lives the same way, and I really wanted to have that experience, to live close to nature, and that's just my nature, I guess, is to not lose that connection to where we all come from, and you know, right nowadays we live in an environment that's pretty homogeneous, and you know, it seems like the people in power want everything to be the same. You know, we all follow the capitalist routine still. You know, we found Vancouver's, and now where we go up higher. Yeah, and I only got 1 minute, right? That's what that meant. Anyhow, Vancouverism is world famous, but they want to duplicate it everywhere now. I think it's beautiful around Stanley Park and all that, and even Yaletown didn't do too bad a job. But keep your hands off the downtown east side, capitalist. We need it.
And we have one last thought from Garvin.
I found the shelter experience very, very demeaning. I was living in an SRO, which wasn't exactly the palace, you know, but when I found myself homeless and I had to go and approach the different shelters, you basically have to sell yourself to be able to get into. You have to, you know, promote yourself to pass the interview to get in, and then you give up all your rights. If you have medications, you can't have them. You have to give them over. If you have any kind of income, you have to give it over. They tell you when you can eat. They tell you when you go to sleep. They tell you when, you know, to get out, when you can come back in. It's not a home, and especially, you know, the city of Vancouver now is touting what a wonderful options they have for the people living in Oppenheimer Park. And again, I participated in a number of the tent villages. I was one in Oppenheimer Park before the Olympics, and then I was at the tent village at the Occupy. And shelters are not a home. I just wanted to comment that they're now the city of Vancouver is now offering the old restaurant, the Kettle of Fish, as a shelter program. Does anybody remember Laurel and Hardy? Laurel and Hardy, the old, what was their catchphrase? This is a fine kettle of fish you got us into, Ollie. And so this is what we have now. It's like Laurel and Hardy. You're now in a fine kettle of fish, and that's where home is. So yeah, thank you.
Thank you all for sharing these thoughts. I know that this is just a tip of the iceberg of everything that you know, and I really appreciate you sharing these perspectives with us now.